Ever feel like the world's just, I don't know, moving way faster than it used to? Like you're always a step behind, trying to catch up with the latest thing, the new tech, whatever's going on in the world. You're not alone. We got this article from you, Are You Fitful for Your Future? And it seems like it really struck a nerve. What does that even mean, though, to be fitful these days? That's what we're diving into today.
Well, it's more than just a catchy title. This whole "Are you fitful for your future" thing, it speaks to a really common anxiety. It's not just another self-help fad. This is about understanding what our world is asking of us now and figuring out how not just to survive, but to actually thrive, you know?
So less about keeping up with everyone else and more about being ready for, well, whatever craziness comes next.
Exactly. And the article really jumps right into this idea of fitfulness. It's about being prepared, adaptable, resilient, and not just physically, I mean, mentally, emotionally, even how we connect with others. It's this whole person approach to dealing with a world that can feel kind of off, like it doesn't match up with how we're wired inside.
Off, out of sync. I think we've all felt that.
Yeah.
Is that what the article means by evolutionary mismatch? Like, we're not quite made for this moment.
Exactly that. Our brains, our bodies, they're mostly running on a system designed for a slower, more predictable world, right? Our ancestors didn't have constant notifications, the news cycle, pressure to learn new tech overnight, so it creates friction, you know? We feel overwhelmed because what's going on inside us is clashing with the speed of everything outside.
Like our inner caveman trying to figure out a smartphone. No wonder we're stressed.
Exactly. And that's why the usual stuff, like mindfulness, it's great, but it only gets us so far. Mindfulness helps calm the mind, but this fitfulness thing, it needs us to actually engage with to shape this crazy, fast-moving world, not just find peace within it.
So how does fitfulness deal with that then? Give us a preview. How does this article say we bridge that gap between, well, our inner cave dweller and our hyper-connected lives?
Well, this is where the article dives into this idea of eustasis.
Eustasis. Okay. Sounds kind of zen, I'll give you that. But not ringing any bells. What is it?
It's like, imagine finding that perfect balance, right, between what you need on the inside and all the stuff the world throws at you from the outside. Like, think of a plant that's got just the right amount of sunshine, the perfect amount of water. It's not just getting by, it's thriving. That's eustasis.
So not about pretending everything's calm and peaceful when it's not.
Nope. It's about figuring out how to be in the chaos, the craziness, and actually be okay, even excited about it. It's like you can be stressed about a challenge at work, sure, or you can be energized by that same challenge because, I don't know, your personal life is good, your health's in a good place, you've got people you can rely on. That's eustasis playing out.
Okay, now I see where we're going with this. So how do we actually get to this eustasis? The article mentions something about building a DNA for the future, which honestly sounds a little sci-fi to me.
It's a powerful image for sure, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. We're not talking about like gene editing here. This is about figuring out your core values, the things you won't budge on, the stuff that would still matter to you 20, 100, heck, even 1,000 years from now.
So less about predicting the future, more about designing what we want it to be like, at least for ourselves.
You got it. And the article, it gives you a way to actually do this. It says we have to define health, well-being, those big ideas, but define them for ourselves. Not just go with what everyone else says, like what makes you feel alive, fulfilled, what brings you joy, gives you purpose. Those are the building blocks of your own personal future-proof DNA.
Sounds like that takes some serious self-awareness work, huh? Really knowing yourself, what you want, what you stand for.
Absolutely. And the article's clear this isn't a solo mission. It talks a lot about how important connecting with others is, especially for building a fitful future, which actually is perfect for our listeners.
How so? We're talking to learners, people who love knowledge. What's the connection there?
Because for learners, sharing what they know, that's a way of connecting, right? It helps build that fitful future we want to see. Just by being here, listening to this, talking about these ideas, we're taking steps towards a future that's more resilient, more fulfilling, not just for us, but for everyone.
So it's like our own well-being is important, sure, but figuring out what really matters to us, that actually impacts everyone else too. We're building a fitful future together, not just on our own.
Exactly. And that's where the article, it goes beyond just us as individuals and starts to think about the bigger picture. You know, it asks us to really think about what kind of future we're making, not just for us, but for, well, everyone who comes after us.
Wow. That's a big question. I mean, it's one thing to try to future-proof our own lives, but we also want to make sure that future is something worth inheriting, right?
Absolutely. And that feeling of responsibility, knowing that we're part of something bigger, That's a huge part of this fitfulness thing. It's about realizing our choices. They don't just affect us. They have consequences for our communities, for the whole planet even.
It's like the article wants us to, I don't know, shift our thinking. Instead of always competing, always feeling like there's not enough to go around, we can create a future where everyone has a chance to thrive.
Yes. And that brings us to a question for you to think about as we wrap this up. Imagine, just for a second, your ideal future, okay? What's it like? Now think about something you're deciding right now, anything, big or small. How could that decision, whatever it is, how could it play out in that future you're picturing?
Ooh, that's a good one. Makes
Yeah.
you realize we're not just along for the ride, you know. We actually get to make choices that shape what happens next.
Exactly. And the future, it might feel uncertain, sure, but realizing that we have a say in it, that our actions matter, well, that's a powerful feeling. It's really what fitfulness is all about.
This whole deep dive, it's been quite a journey. We started feeling kind of overwhelmed by how fast everything's changing. And now we've got some real strategies, not just to survive, but to actually get out there and thrive in whatever's coming next.
The big takeaway here is that fitfulness, it's not a one and done thing. It's this constant process, right? Figuring ourselves out, adapting to what life throws at us, connecting with each other. It's about building a life that reflects what we truly care about, but also staying open to new possibilities, realizing that we're all in this together.
So, to our listeners, we'll leave you with this. The future isn't just happening to us. We actually have the power to create it, one choice at a time.